Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to Cutting Edge Action. Now this is going to be a short video, a little different from most of my other videos because I've not shot any B-roll outside for this knife and I really haven't put it through the paces to give it a full review. This is going to be more of just an overview and a quick look at the Samior GP035. Now I bought this knife at the request of Homo Sidorovich. He posted a comment about it. And he said it looks like just about the cheapest knife you can get with an M390 blade. So I was very curious. At $70, you get a knife that has carbon fiber scales and then a nice M390 blade. Now the thing about it is, this blade is incredibly thin at 0.078 inches. Now that is very comparable to the CRKT CEO. And if I'm honest with you, having handled a CEO several times and then getting this knife, I think this knife is better than the CEO in just about every single way, and I'm going to tell you why. When you go for the carbon fiber model of this knife, you of course get that nice, thin, slicey M390 blade. You get the beautiful, well done carbon fiber scales, and I believe the hardware here is actually titanium, and as you can see, it looks fantastic in that anodized blue color. Now the GP035 has a flipper tab instead of the thumb stud on the CEO, and the CEO, with that thumb stud being recessed the way it is, I just find it very, very difficult to use. I like thumb studs a lot, especially on all my Benchmades, and the thumb stud on the CEO is just not very nice, at least in my opinion. So I think what Samior has done here is come in and mass produce these knives like crazy, extremely similar to the CEO, but with higher quality materials and at either the same or a very, very similar price point. And I think the GP035 just did it a little bit better. That flipper tab is very nice. I will say the lock is just a little bit sticky on my particular example. I'm not sure if there's any variance there. It just hangs up a little bit when I go to close it, but I can still do it very easily one-handed, as you guys can see. And I carried this knife to work today, and I used it not on any cardboard really, but just to open packages and cut tape and to remove serial numbers from TVs because I work as an AV technician. And for that type of work where I just needed to go into a single layer of cardboard, I don't think I could pick a better knife than this, honestly. This thing might actually be the sharpest knife that I own, and you guys know that's really saying something with the collection that I have. This thing is crazy, crazy razor sharp right out of the box. I think you could easily shave your face with it fairly comfortably. That's how sharp this thing is, or even cut into a fish. Obviously you wouldn't do that because you'd be dealing with bone and this thing would not handle that well, but the cutting edge is simply fantastic and the cutting performance is excellent too. Let me just give you guys a real quick demo cutting some thin paper. Okay, so I've got some garbage coupon that I got in the mail here. Let's go ahead and give this thing a few cuts, and you guys will see just by how incredibly buttery smooth this thing cuts that it really does mean business as far as the cutting edge goes. It is really, really sharp. The tip is extremely sharp, so as you can see, I can just poke it right in and then cut right through. No issues. It'll remove pieces just by me running the blade straight through. No issues whatsoever. No tearing. This thing really just does perform when you're asking it to do stuff like this. I think this is an excellent gentleman's knife, and when Homo Sidorovich initially told me about this knife, I thought that it was something that would leave a lot to be desired. I thought it would be a low quality, essentially clone of the CEO, but actually it seems to be a clone of the CEO that's done with such high production volume by this Samior company, mainly to sell on Amazon, that they were able to do it better at a very similar price point. And that had me kind of curious, what other knives are out there on Amazon being mass produced in huge quantities that have fairly high quality materials like this? Because typically, when I think a knife that's mainly marketed and sold on Amazon, I think of some cheap piece of junk for the most part. And that's not to disparage those knives, because I have tons of those. And a lot of them you really could put through their paces, cutting wood and doing real work with them and whatnot. but you're going to end up with lower quality materials, lower quality scales, bad build quality, things like hardware falling out, but that does not seem to be the case at all with this knife. I'm extremely impressed with it, and even though I've only just had it a couple days, I think I would really recommend this to just about anybody who was looking to get a CRKT CEO. I think they kind of stole that design. Well, of course, it's got the flipper instead of the thumb stud, which I actually take as a benefit. I know it's not as low profile in the pocket because of the fact that it has a flipper, but I just think this is better value for money, and I think it's a better knife all around. So getting this knife really left me very surprised. If you're looking for a gentleman's knife to use as a letter opener, or strictly to open up your Amazon boxes but not necessarily cut them down, then this might be something to look into. The blade is so thin at just 0.078 inches, whereas the CEO is 0.08 inches, so very, very close in terms of thickness to the CEO. I think you really could risk bending or breaking this blade just cutting something like a piece of whittling wood or even cardboard. I could see the tip just breaking right off. And of course, M390 is supposed to be very strong and to hold an edge extremely well. And while I do believe this is probably an M390 blade because of how thin it is and how many of these I'm sure they produced, I would guess they cut their blanks into like 6 separate pieces every time they produce one of these. The chance is still there that this isn't actually M390 and is rather a much cheaper steel, and I do not have the equipment to test that. What I can tell you is that for the stuff I've done with it, it's held an edge pretty darn well, and I haven't been able to notice anything visually changing with the cutting performance. The microscopic edge appears to my eye to still be aligned extremely well. I don't see any rolling or folding going on, which would indicate we've got a proper heat treatment. And I think this is just a fantastic all-around gentleman's knife. Alright everyone, so I know I've kind of been rambling a little bit and repeating myself in this video. That's because I did not do any kind of outlining or B-roll shooting or scripting for this video at all, which I usually do for my more long-form videos. But I gotta say, I am just really impressed with this, and I gotta give a big thanks to Homo Sidorovich for telling me about it in the comments. Now, if there's any other knives that you guys want me to take a look at, whether they're from Amazon and super mass produced like this one is from a pretty much no-name brand that I've never heard of, or something more expensive from a better known brand, please let me know down in the comments and I will do my best to take a look at it. Obviously, I can't go buying $1,500 knives every week, but for the most part, I'm willing to spend money on this channel to review the knives that you guys want to see. I know Homo Sidorovich had also requested the Cold Steel AK field knife, so I'll probably get around to that eventually. Pretty soon coming up here, I'm going to have a video detailing my Benchmade warranty process on the 320 Precinct, and then I'm also going to have a video talking about the new Case Kinzua, which is Case's step into the modern age with a more modern frame lock folder design. So you guys will have that to look forward to. Sorry I haven't been getting out as many videos as I want to. It's just with this weather and the time I get off work, by the time I'm off work, it's dark and I can't shoot any B-roll outside. And then even on the weekends here in Ohio, it's been like 20-30 degrees, and who wants to go out and take video in that? So I'll do my best to at least get some of these shorter videos out to you guys, keep the content flowing. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Cutting Edge Action.